Hello, my name is Motley-Johnson, and this is my identity presentation. And in chapters 3 and 4, the concept of history and identity was spoken, and how we all might share a single national history. Each cultural group within the nation may have its own history. On page 74, leads me to tell you how I came to learn how to communicate and identify who and where I come from. I was born in Detroit, Michigan, and reared in St. Louis, Missouri from the age of 12 to 38, but my childhood years was in Detroit, Michigan. I was born in 1973. Being that my family history is made up of African, Native American, and European. My grandfather was half European and half Native American from his father, and his mother was African and actually Native American. That gave me my lineage from my mother and her father, and my grandmother was born in New York, and her mother and father both were African. And then my father's mother and father were both Native American and African. And also, I believe my grandfather had some European in him. And so, being that that's my bloodline, I consider myself to be black. So I don't like when people communicate and have and use the hyphenated African American, because I don't really relate more to the African side as I do the American side. Um, I know that's the way that society identify who we are, and due to learning my culture and the way society puts minorities in an identifying category, I I just don't agree when people communicate that, you know, I'm African American. I like to be called black. Most people can identify with particular groups and not others because of the way society communicate our race, our gender, and our cultures. I personally relate to people my age, sometimes younger people, because I have children ranging in the ages of 24 and 5 years old. So I've had to learn to identify, communicate, and thanks to this class, um, learn how to express myself with age identity, which sometimes can be hard as a mother, having children from different ranges of age. But I have learned that concept. Thank you. Also, by working in the medical field for the last 17 years, I've worked as a CNA, a home health aide, um, oh my goodness, a LPN. I am now currently a pharmacy technician, so I've had to learn how to learn the history and the culture of other groups and what makes each group, you know, communicate with each other, and how they like certain things done or not done. And it's been very helpful. And that over the years, um, I've just had to deal with different cultures, different people from different walks of life, poor, rich, whatever you want to call themselves. Class identity is the word I should use. So I can say I've learned minority identifying development and majority identifying development, and how each view racism and how they see it in their point of view. I know that most people communicate by who and where they are reared, or what class they come from, or even what culture they belong to. So I can say I was raised by a pastor and a strong black woman, and they gave me my religious identity and a class identity because we were middle class, and I came from a middle class family who loved the Lord. So I love the Lord, but I also respect other people's religious backgrounds. In working with people with disabilities, I've learned that I don't see or I don't assume they always need help. I always ask before I approach them because I've learned over the years I have a husband and three sons with different disabilities. Um, my husband and two of my sons have mental disability. My one son has physical disability. At the age of 14, he was hit by an SUV in a car, and of course, it changed our lives and our dynamic of our identity of our family. But overall, I've learned through him to not always assume that he wanted help or that he needed help. I had to learn how to back up and let him do it. I've learned from my husband and my sons how to communicate with people with mental disabilities. So that's kind of a good background to have. As well as I've learned that, um, you have to know how to communicate to identify with people of different cultures, ethnic, race, gender, even people with disabilities. So simply, I am a mother, wife, hardworking middle class, religious black woman. I think that intercultural communication is very important in how we can live in society today. We have to be able to understand that each person identify themselves by their race, sex, ethnic background, religious background, age, um, just different cultures, different forms of cultures. And in learning that, I've learned how to respect other people's beliefs, and I've also learned how to communicate on different people's level of communication. So taking this class is helping me to enhance how to communicate even better and to publicly speak to people that's different than me. So thank you. That's my identity presentation. Have a good evening.